Survival of the Fittest is the Super Show. I'm Roberto Trevino, and no, it's time for September. You know, I always think September is a really interesting kind of part of the year. You know, it's an interesting month because it's like the beginning of what I like to call the scary season. All right, you know, which goes all the way till November November 2nd, Day of the Dead, you know. So I think from this point until that date is the scary season. And so I think it's an interesting time for restaurants because, you know, some places start to get cold and you know, winter menus start to kind of come up and more, you know, different ingredients start to show up. I mean, you can get things pretty much year round these days, but if you really want to stick to like what's going on with, you know, what your farms or whatever, you know, can get you, you know, it's going to change. So yeah, the winter menu is definitely around. And then people are like wanting some of that comfort stuff, you know, getting closer to towards the holidays. But the scary season is first before the holiday season. And you know, nothing better than some, you know, good scary bars, you know, where you can go and I guess they're like themed to be a little scary, so not like really heavy duty scary, but you know, themed that way. And I know here in downtown Orlando, there's a few, and they're super cool. So definitely worth a visit, especially during this scary season. So definitely downtown Orlando is always like good for that. And I mean, not to mention, you know, we had our our time within the scary season in downtown Orlando at the infamous El Buddha restaurant. And let's see, you know, a funny thing, you know, I love it when people come up to me and they say like, hey, yeah, you know, I love this dish. You cook it here. I ate it there, and they'll remind me of something. And I go like, oh yeah. Well, you know, strangest thing, you know, especially at the beginning of the scary season. Not because this was a scary event, but because it goes all kind of connected to the El Buddha, and it all happened you know, out of nowhere at the same night, you know, at the same restaurant, you know, the same night, which kind of I say to myself, like, wait a minute, what? So this guest comes in, he wants to talk to me. He says, you know, I had this rice you made once, and it was so delicious, and I loved it, and I'm going like, all right, yeah, okay, cool. And you know, I guess he's with a relative, and she's saying something along the lines, yeah, I live in Puerto Rico. I know your restaurant's there, and we used to go. And I'm thinking now that this rice that this gentleman's talking about is something I used to make probably in Puerto Rico, which could have been like a duck fried rice with the sweet plantains. But I told him that yeah, that's what it was. And he kept talking, and he kept saying things, and he says to me, yeah, that was kind of a creepy place you had. And he goes, there was like a haunted basement. And I went, oh, you're not talking about in Puerto Rico. You're talking about here in Orlando. And he says, yeah, in downtown. And I go, wow, you're talking about El Buddha. And he goes, yeah, that's the place. And I go, well, he says, you made a rice, but it wasn't on the menu. And I said to myself, like, wait a minute, what? And he goes, yeah, it was something you made for us, and you said it wasn't on the menu, but I could get it anytime I came in. He goes, and I really love that rice, and I'm wondering how I could eat it again in my life. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what rice is this guy talking about? And it hit me. It was sweet sticky rice with pork chicharron, you know, like, and it was pretty good. And he had it, and had like sweet onions and different things on it, you know, pickled sweet onions, and just worked, you know, one of those dishes. And he absolutely loved that dish. And it reminded me, and I just was thinking about the power that food has sometimes. But the coincidence was that there was a former bartender who you've met here on Survival. Connor was dining with his girlfriend at the restaurant that same evening, which then brings the second connection to El Buddha. And The third connection to El Buddha and that same evening is that one of my cooks, current cooks, was one of my cooks back there at El Buddha and happened to be there that night as well. So there's like a 3-point connection there to the start of the scary season, a very peculiar El Buddha event, which happened again last night. Just goes to show you the power that place had. And so definitely there's the beginning of the scary season for everybody. I hope you're enjoying, and oh yeah, of course, I'm enjoying my brew here from Orlando Brewing. Always the best, always ice cold. Let me grab one of those actually. Give me a sec. Nothing better than an ice cold beer. So that's what's on the menu for now here at Survival. So the scary season's always a fun time in restaurants, and bars. People really are kicking up for the holiday season. It's almost like the season of sin. And that's delicious. I always welcome the season of sin, not because I'm a sinner. By no means do I suggest anyone become a sinner. It's just kind of the time of year where you're willing to entertain the idea because there's a sort of license. We're allowed to enjoy horror movies and we're allowed to go to the haunted mansion and be freaked out. And, it's kind of part of what's expected right up until the 31st. And yeah, I mean, I remember a lot of my costumes growing up. I was Frankenstein one year, we can go on, but it's definitely kind of paganistic before the holiday season, which is probably even more so, but but I think for restaurants, it's a time to really just kind of have a good time. So definitely getting geared up for the holidays. People are starting to think about the big holiday dinners, the 25th, the 24th, all that, Thanksgiving, everything. It's just all really just kind of creeping up quickly post-Rona, current Delta. Woo-wee. It's a wonder we call this survival of the fittest is the soup du jour. So definitely an exciting time. So let's think about a few other things. The whole exploring, alternative ways to make money within the restaurant business is kind of like really kind of what's been on my mind lately. But at the same time, I go back to what I really love about the restaurant business, and that's just doing the time. And anyone who's in the biz knows what I mean when I say doing the time. I think that, going to get the guests, like just being able to serve your guest and have the guests come to the restaurant. Right now here in Orlando, we're doing magical dining, and hey, I'd have to say it's successful. I think it's a great program. It's been like super good, super busy again, and that's nice because the whole like sort of lockdown of things again, or at least the idea that things should be locked down has really kind of put a hurt on conventions. So things get tight in Orlando when that happens, and so I think magical dining kind of like really gets people to kind of want to get out there and go to restaurants and get a good deal. Get a 3-course meal in their favorite restaurant, one they looked at for a long time, maybe convinced by the promotional stuff, maybe by their favorite food writer, whoever, whatever. I think it's cool that that program emphasizes getting people out to dine, and they do. And I've seen it in the restaurant, and I think it's awesome. So congratulations to Magical Dining. This is really good. And it's it goes right through the scary season, so who knew? I'm still in search of the best Latin rice. And now, I go to this place on Cimarron. It's a lechonera type place. It's just kind of got the rice in the steam table kind of thing. But something happens to that rice when the grease kind of reaches and the liquid and the heat and the steam sort of reach a sort of a perfect place for a grain of rice. And sometimes I go to these lechoneras, and that is exactly what you get. But it has to be one of the aguisao style rices, whether it be arroz con gandules or un arroz guisao or un arroz con longaniza. Definitely talking Puerto Rico culinary vernacular. That's the kind of rice that you can. It has to be sort of like the steam table, met the oil content, met the perfect rice kernel, and there you have this sort of like just almost perfection when it comes to rice, as far as I'm concerned. So I think what I'm still in search of is to find that perfect pastel as well. And that season, post scary season, is pastel season as far as I'm concerned. So I'm looking forward to that. That's coming around, and we will ask the important holiday food questions for the islands, Latin America, and that's all coming around. Maybe we can even do some exciting things off the Florida Peninsula and possibly on an island in the Caribbean, which I think you'll know exactly where we're talking about when we get there. So all these things are coming, and we're excited about it. Scary season upon us. Write some fun menus. Enjoy the scary season because it's just, it's September. Remember Earth, Wind, and Fire. All the good things. Definitely all that. I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to more beer with our happy and organic proud sponsor of Orlando Brewing. Yes, of course. Instacart. Instacart is also kind of like paving the way to make it easy to buy things online, safe, reliable. That's what you need. So always use that service. I'm always looking for convenience, but more importantly, safety, and that's a sure winner. Also, look for our Patreon page. We are definitely there, and we have an OnlyFans, so check us out. We do it for fun. You only live once, all right? So, what can I say? Exciting restaurant news coming. Exciting culinary adventures. I mean, to truly live up to, being a true gastronaut, where your travels and the gastronomy, not just eating, but cooking. That's where it's at, and then finding sort of, again, another perfect storm, not far from the great rice dish I'm in search of, but a place where taste and creativity and financial stability kind of all meet to build a restaurant in a very exciting location, kind of unexpected, but with the ultimate level of taste and just impeccable understanding of spatial elements and colors, and that's what I'm talking about. And really can't wait to share all this with you. I can go on, all right, everybody. Remember, keep surviving. Thanks to all of you. York, Los Angeles, Texas, Mexico, Puerto Rico. I'll see Puerto Rico real soon. I'll let you know about that. Lots of love to everybody. Remember, keep surviving, because survival of the fittest is the soup du jour. I'm Roberto Trevino, and we'll talk real soon. Salud a todo mundo. I love you.